in honor of my father, whose anniversary is today on this auspicious day of the full moon at 5 degrees of Virgo. And that's us streaming live on YouTube now as well. Uh, Let me see. It's actually showing as private. So I'm just going to edit this. Oh, yes, it's public now. That's fine. Um, yeah. How are you all doing? What's going on for you? What's alive for you right now in this moment? And why are you here at this time? What's moving through you? Okay, great. I can see the chat as well on YouTube, and welcome in here to the Zoom room. Lovely to see you all. Woo, this room fills up very quickly. So let me know where you're dialing in from. And yeah, I've got this like nervous energy running through me. I've been meditating before coming on. I've got my little shrine here behind me to my father. Hi, Dad. Candle burning. I've got incense burning. And yeah. Oh, we're coming in from all around the globe. So take your time to settle in here and let's take a breath here as we gather from around the globe. And let's feel our energy as if we are gathered together at the round table around the primordial bonfire as souls who know each other and made a pact to return at this time to support each other, to help us where we're stuck or blocked, and to be the light for each other as torchbearers into new earth. Because accessing our grief and releasing our grip on grief is a key aspect of allowing us to feel less dense, to lighten up, and to step and ascend and resurrect and rise up. So we'll go into this more during our conversation today. And there's so much I feel I want to share, and I felt called to show up as I am. I don't have notes. I've got just a brief outline of different topics I want to explore, but it really is to show up live and to allow what wants to flow through me and also connect in with the energy of us all here, what wants to flow for all of us. But ultimately, the thoughts I had for this webinar is that I'll let you know what the inspiration for this was in relation to Ireland and the Atlantic waters and their saltiness. We'll dive into grief and connect with where that is in our bodies, because I feel it's all of us are experiencing grief at this time. And I suspect that's why you're here. And why we're experiencing this grief at this time, and what are the different forms and shapes that grief shows up for us now. And then I'll share a few stories about my father. Maybe you've heard some of them, maybe you haven't, but just some of the key aspects of why he is such an important figure now. And then we'll go into a meditation, and I'm calling this a grief releasing Atlantean meditation, where we'll dive deep into the salty Atlantic oceans, connect with our grief, and unveil and release and reveal what lies beneath this grief as gifts for you today. So that's roughly the gist. I suspect we'll be here together for about an hour. My husband's on dinner duty, so I'm hoping that will all be ready for me to eat and dine after this. So let's see what's going on in the chat. And this is being recorded and is streaming live on YouTube. So let me know who's here on YouTube. I can see there's some of you watching. Write in the chat if you wish. And let's see who's here on Zoom. Ooh, lots of chat. Ah, hi, Michelle. Always first in the chat. Magical friend. I've missed you too, and it's so gorgeous to connect here. Hello, Laura, as well here. Rebecca in Portugal. Oh, Jonathan. Oh, I didn't realize your mother passed away on January 19th this year, because I know you were looking after her and supporting her 2.5 years after your father. Oh, I'm sending you so much love for your loss, and thanks for being here from Palo Alto. Claire in Manchester. Hi, Rebecca. I'm here to support you, Eimear, and your beloved father. Thank you so much. And Chris, your dad died on the 3rd of February, almost exactly 3 weeks ago. There's something about these first few months of the year, I feel, where many of my family, my ancestors have passed on at this time. Nancy in Idaho, Sharon in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and Laura, you're in Prestwick in Scotland. June, perfect timing. Your husband's anniversary was Thursday, and you've spiraled back into terrible sadness. His death was 3 years ago, and this one is especially hard. Yeah, there's kind of no rhyme or reason to the grief and when it rises, how it impacts us on any day, in any year, in any moment as well. And we're welcoming all of this in here today to be witnesses for each other and witnesses for grief as well, as someone calls it lady grief. But what's your name for grief? Leslie Ann, hello in the UK. Claire, your mum passed on September 23rd, and your dad died in 1980 when you were 10. Wow. Hello, Honora. Thank you for this. Your father died 20 years ago, and yesterday on his birthday. Oh my goodness, what a spiral of birth, death, and rebirth. And you're calling in from Louisiana. So much love to you. And hello from Ontario, Canada. Hello, Ina Rose in the Downs in the UK. You're here in community with our grief to do the sacred work of tending that well of grief to be. Yes, well of grief is what this is, absolutely. Hello, Lynn in Washington State, Rebecca, Eastern Sierra Mountains, Northern California. And Rebecca, your dad passed on March 16th, 2016, in the grief energy time as well. Absolutely. Christina, blessings, brothers and sisters from Pocono Mountains. Have I pronounced that right? Pennsylvania. The Pocono. Yes, I remember that from my time in the East Coast of America, the Pocono Mountains. Hello, Katerina. So much love from Germany. And hello, Teresa from Bedfordshire. Sandy in Bedfordshire. That's near my sister in Biddenham in Bedfordshire. Hello, dear Panya, calling in from New York. And Janine from San Diego. Your ancestors came over on the ships from Ireland and Scotland, and your intuition tells you many passed on the boat before they made it to the US. Yes, which is why they were called the coffin ships as well, because of the awful conditions that those emigrating had to endure, and many did die. So your intuition is so right. And Cheryl, hello, my dear, dear soul star sister Cheryl. So much love for you being here, and it is your dad's birthday tomorrow. Yeah, and thank you for connecting. And I know it's just over a year from your dad passing, and I feel our fathers are so connected in the spirit world. And hello, Maria from Essex in Maryland. I didn't know there was an Essex in Maryland. How interesting. I wonder, is there a witch history there as well? And your dad passed 24 years ago. My goodness. Hello, Cynthia Honoris. Dear Hathor Cacao friend. So happy to be here with you, allowing us to be with you, to honor my beloved father, yes, and allowing us to process grief in your beautiful space. Thank you for saying that so eloquently. Jennifer is here. Hello, Jennifer, dear sister witch, dear beautiful being from Texas. And I know you are here walking the lands of Scotland as well, with a foot in both worlds. Hello, Sheena. Geraldine. Hello. I'm so glad you're here. Hello, Ger from Dublin. Old uni friends. I'm not saying you're old, Geraldine, but yeah, you are older than me. And I'm so glad you're here as well, live on this. And Nancy, both of your children have passed. One at 30 in 2007 and one at 23 in 2021. Their birthdays were last week. Oh my goodness. I can feel that. I can feel that in my throat. So no matter how deep we've gone into grief to heal, it can come up. Absolutely, absolutely. And in one way, it is like an endless depth, like a vortex of grief. And in the other way, I don't know. I don't know what it is in the other way. It's just an endless depth of grief. And it's an emotion. It's an emotion that wants to be acknowledged and witnessed. And that's what I feel now. And it is 30 years on for me. So I do feel the strength of being able to talk about that. But I'll share a bit about my grief journey as well, much of it which involved not talking and suppressing it and hiding it. So, Geraldine, you're only a tiny bit older, but you're still older than me. Love you, Eimear. Love to everyone who's lost people. It's so hard. Absolutely. Yes. Nancy sending love, yes. Honoring all the departed beloveds, named and unnamed, yes. Ina, let's honor our grief and their journeys onwards, absolutely, yeah. And it's beautiful that we have so many of you here live, and I know so many will watch this in the replay too. So if you're watching this in the replay, let us know where you are. And this is the great long Irish hello. And we will have a long Irish goodbye as well. So be prepared. So let's settle in. And I had the instructions to stand today to let the energy flow through. So whether you are standing, sitting, lying down, just allow this space to be ring fenced off. Imagine a golden circle surrounding you now to create this beautiful, cleansing, protective boundary for you in this space to fully feel safe to sink into all that we're going to be exploring today. And within this bubble, allow everything that is not serving you to release and evaporate from this great big sphere that is holding you right now and holding space for you and with you. And that only the divine and what is resourceful and helpful for us today may enter into this space. And we do not consent to any other forces infiltrating our divine space today or ever across all timelines. For this is for us to feel the support in this co-creative circle, in this co-creative journey across all dimensions. And allow yourself to sink in and feel the humanness of your body. Because you chose to be here at this time. We all did, for whatever reasons. And allow your attention to be brought to your feet so that roots may unfurl from the soles of your feet and sink deep, deep, deep into the earth, passing the underground rivers and caves and rocks and caverns, connecting with crystalline waters and crystalline rocks, and the animal beings and fairy realm that reside within this fertile soil, making your way through your roots to the center, the core of the earth, and the core of our universe, where the greatest mystery of all resides. And allowing your roots to connect with this core in whatever form or elemental structure it is for you, or geometric shape. And that your roots give the greatest hug to this core, like the hug of the primordial mother who is always here, supporting you, walking with you, feeling you, witnessing your grief, wiping your tears, whispering sweet words of solace when you most need them. And as you feel connected to these roots beneath you, take deep breaths in and out, and allowing any tension to release through your roots into the earth. For all that you've been holding on to, for all the courage and the bravery that is held within you. And today, in this moment, we don't need to hold on to any of that. Allow yourself to soften through your breath as you connect with the core, with the heartbeat of the Great Mother. So as you breathe in, she breathes out. As she breathes out, you breathe in. And allow this process to happen for you now. As you draw up the nourishing energy from the earth to flow through your body, to flow to the places where you feel most stuck or tense or blocked. And just notice where that is and just allow it to happen organically for you. And then connecting with the crown of your head and allowing your cosmic roots to unfurl from the crown of your head so that they may make their way up into the cosmos, past the star beings, the sun, the moon, the planets, connecting with your cosmic ancestors and the source of all, the womb at the center of the universe, that great cosmic unknown, and that great wellspring of inspiration, wisdom, and knowledge. And as you connect, allow your roots, cosmic roots, to go where they need to go. Let your imagination free. For many of us have descended from these cosmic places. And it's part of the reason why many feel that grief as well, of descending from these pure, harmonious, bright light places, descending to earth. And so we're here to allow this energy to flow like the great tree of life between earthen and cosmic roots as you're grounded here in your body now, in this moment. So what is it about today that's so important? On the 24th of February, 2024, the number pattern is beautiful. It happens to coincide with a full moon, the snow moon, I've heard people call it, the dragon moon. It's a powerful one. And it is a great time to release and create energy for the new to come in. But it was when, as I shared in one of my emails, I realized about the saltiness of the Atlantic Ocean, which hugs one side of Ireland and so many continents that we're connected to around the globe. Here today, the great wild Atlantic Ocean, and that this saltiness of the ocean is holding the grief of eons. And Atlantic is so connected to the Atlantis, this ancient place that we're connecting to bring these gifts back now. So there's the grief from the fall of Atlantis, Lemuria, Tara, the corruption of ancient Egypt. All of these things lead to us holding this grief within our mortal forms. But I realized that the Atlantic, this great ocean, this great womb, this oceanic womb, is holding the grief until such time as we're ready to transmute that grief and turn towards the grief within us. And I know for me, that's something I didn't want to do for a long, long time. It's something I shut off and shut down very successfully just to get on and continue with life. And maybe there's many of us here that have done that, or you have bravely faced your grief head on as it's presented itself to you. And as some of you have shared in the chat, yes, so many of us Irish have emigrated and traveled across these oceans for perceived better lives, and it may not have always turned out that way. So it's in our ancestry, it's in our DNA, it's in our cells, it's in the memories of this our mortal coil, our body. And for others, it's that grief that's been held in the oceans of time. Oh, it's vast. And that's why we'll go into this in our meditation, because I feel it goes beyond words. And the grief aspect, many of you have shared the losses that you've experienced of loved ones passing on, of leaving this earth in a timely manner or an untimely manner, unexpectedly, suddenly, or expectedly. But either way, we experience this grief, this loss, this bereft-ness, this emptiness of where they used to be, of that space that they used to inhabit, of being able to chat to them, to hear their voice, to give them a great big hug. It's the loss of not being able to do any of that anymore. And then there's the loss or the grief of what's going on in our world, what's playing out in our world just now. The wars, the fighting, the division, the separation, the segregation, all of that. We're feeling that grief. And the grief of what's happened in our his story, in our her story, and the anger that rises, for me anyway, through that. The grief for me of what's played out in the history of Ireland, in our colonial past, the trees being chopped down, the wolves being hunted to extinction, and the grief for our animal kingdom and plant beings, the elementals and the fairies who did have to go underground and hide, but are emerging now because it's safe to do so. So it takes so many different forms. And today we're simply here to witness that and to hold each other in this container, in this space, and to feel where this grief is in your body. And as you feel where is grief in your body now, maybe close your eyes, take a moment. Just notice any sensations of grief, any change in temperature for you, warmth, coldness, tingles. Any shortness of breath, shaking, tears. But this is the time to be honest with ourselves. When you feel and connect with grief now, just notice, does grief have a size or a shape? When you connect with grief now in your body. And does grief have a color? When you connect with grief now and notice, is grief on the inside of you or the outside of you? Because it may not be in here, it may be out there somewhere. So just allow the answers to bubble up in divine time. And maybe you'll just know, maybe you'll visualize, maybe you'll hear words, a song, a voice, the whispers. Just notice. And with all that's arising for you now, what would grief like to have happen now? Because this is our opportunity to have a conversation with grief. Once we have some tangible information of where grief is, what shape or form or what kind of grief is, so we have a kind of a metaphor of what grief is like for us. Let's have that conversation of what grief would like to have happen now for you. And is there anything else grief would like to have happen now? And these are questions that you can journal with as well after this and take and pose to yourself before going to sleep so that you receive information in your dream time too. Because grief is like another emotion. And like all emotions, they want to flow and be free and pass through us and to be felt and released and transmuted. So let's open this conversation with grief, Lady Grief, and what form or shape and what she would like now, today. And we can ask that for our individual presence here, but also for the collective too, because this work, of course, ripples out. We're doing this work for ourselves and for the collective. So I feel like it's time to just share a few things about my father, who's there, Arthur. And where do we start? Where do we start? My father, who's one of the greatest presences in my life and present in my life. So we had 19 years together in this life. So I was 19 when he passed away. I had just turned 19 in the December. He turned 59. He was an old dad at the time in the January. And it wasn't a surprise. We knew it was coming. There's my voice, throat clearing. We knew it was coming, that he was going to die, that his life was coming to an end. But it didn't make it any easier. But there's many things that he's gifted me, apart from his wonderful sense of humor and his voice and his wit and intelligence. Even if I have a slither of that in my cells, I'm so grateful for that. But also gifts towards the end of his life as well. So the last summer I spent with him, it was actually a fluke because I'd gone on a working holiday to Germany, and I ended up failing 4 of my 9 exams in first year of university. So I had to come back home to repeat them in the summer. And that ended up being the last summer that I had with my father. So that was a gift in the end. And then in the following year, and it is young, yeah, it is young. In the following year then, when his cancer had returned, and they said he had 5 months to live. it gave us that opportunity to gather together as a family. But for me, I wanted the outside life to be as normal as possible. And I went off to university and continued on and just could not talk about what was going on in my private life. So I didn't talk about it with friends, some of who are here today. I had to shut that down because I felt I might break down otherwise. It was like this survival instinct that kicked in. Um, and then towards his final few days, when it was like a last ditch at trying to save his life. You know, he thought laughter would help heal him. He'd laugh himself well. So we tried laughing and it helped, you know, it was humorous. But when my mother brought the healer along to the hospital where he was in hospital in Mount Carmel Hospital, and some of you may have heard this story already, but it feels important just to share some of these key highlights just now, because this is about honoring my father, Art, the father. And the healer had done his healer work. And I came into the room just as the healing session had ended, and there was the healer and my mum. I arrived in, and honestly, it was like my father had had the most amazing spiritual experience lying in bed. And he was all rosy. It was like all the color had returned to his face, even though in every moment he was aging. You know, he was on the way out and he was aging before our eyes. And he kind of always did look old anyway, in my view, from a 19-year-old perspective. But the one word he said as he pointed towards the ceiling, because he wasn't saying a lot at this stage, and he was medicated too. He was quite high on morphine because he was kind of singing, and I believe now it was actually light language that he was doing and was communing with the spirit realm that were coming to gather him to take him on to the other world. But anyway, the one word was resurrection. And it's just amazing now that that one word has been such a gift that has woven through my life to rise up into more ascended states of being. It's the connection to the witch awakening that I've had. And there's more depth in that too, I know. But it was planting that seed for the time when I would come back to that one word and connect it with my spiritual awakening as well. And then a few days later, when he did pass on, and we were all gathered from the various parts of Dublin where we were in and brought to the hospital, and the room was just so full of all the family, extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins. We have a big family, you know, big family anyway. And the key people were there, the neighbors, my cousin, the priest, you know, with his rosary beads ready to go. And he took his final breath. And at the time, I remember being really intrigued. I was standing a bit back. I wasn't right by his bed, but being so intrigued by that final breath, completing the cycle of in-breath at birth to out-breath at death. And it was just so peaceful. Oh, it was the closest I'd gotten to someone dying at that moment in my life. And it was just an exhale. And he was gone. But he was still there. His body was still there. But his heart, the heart of Art, had stopped beating. He had taken his final breath. And he was gone. He would never rise up in his human form from that hospital bed. And yet, when I connect with that moment, I see the light. And it was evening time, so it was actually 8:34, so an hour from the time that we're on now in the UK. My mum confirmed this today. 8:34, so it was dark outside. But when I connect with this moment, I feel the light, as if it whooshed past me and went out and up. So he wasn't rising up from the bed, but he was in spirit form. And off he went. He was ready. It was his time. Well, whether he was ready or not, he knew he was dying. He knew he was passing on. And it just felt very peaceful. And then the rosary started, the decades of the rosary. How many decades can you share? But the importance of that is that I feel the spirit of the deceased will dance along the resonance and frequency of the prayer of the words that will support them in safe passage to the other world, to where they need to go in the onward realms, whether it is back to source or somewhere else to heal. And it's very, very sacred. You know, there's lots of sacred moments around that time. And then some people were crying. I remember my auntie in particular was crying a lot. And that's connected to keening, to grieving, to this ancient form of grieving, particularly in the Irish tradition, in other traditions. And it was kind of then outlawed. It was Roman Catholicism took a hold in Ireland. But the keening it's the wailing woman, it's the Cailleach witch. It's just allowing these guttural sounds to arise and free themselves, like grief, the voice of Lady Grief being expelled from your body, being released. So it was like the keen was automatically happening for some people. I remember a nurse came over to me and was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I kind of just wanted to be left alone." And I felt quite numb, actually, but intrigued by this whole death process. And then, you know, we all take action, getting ready for the funeral, which happens within 2 to 3 days in Ireland. And then there was that moment a few days later, remembering his final word of resurrection, pointing up just for clarity, resurrection. And when I woke in the early hours of the morning, and there he was, like in the picture there, like in that suit, the younger version, the healthy version of him, at the end of my bed. And it was honestly, that vision and that visitation was so real that I thought his death hadn't happened and that it was all a dream. But then the minute he was gone, boom, it was like that grief that I had been numb to just hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was just bawling and wailing in my bed, trying to be really quiet so, I wouldn't wake anyone else up. Yeah, incredible moment. So resurrection. And then he came and showed me, hey, for me at the time, I thought, oh, you really are gone. But actually, no, he's still here in a different form. Okay, I can't hear his voice, but I can feel his presence. And there are many seers and psychics and soul guides that have connected to my dad on my behalf. And that's my journey as well, to connect with him even more in this time, because we're intricately linked. So yeah, I could talk wax lyrical about him, but what was coming up in honoring him, the fact that it is 30 years now. Oh yeah, the other aspect of that was how I dealt with that grief, as I said, was burying it. And I went back to university about 2 weeks later, and my friends were wonderful. Some of you are here. And of course, for me, I'm like, no, I'm fine, I'm fine. And then I'd go into the toilets in UCD, in the university, and bawl my eyes out and then come out like, as if everything's fine, honestly. And then I went on with life. And when I went to Germany again to work that next summer of 1994, it was like I was going to follow in his footsteps with a sudden ending of my own, because I was in a car crash. And it was 5 months to the day. So I'm going to get on to some of the numerology, because it's interesting about this number 5. And maybe some of you can help if you know more about numerology and the importance of the number 5. 5 months to the day, I was in a fatal car crash. And my 2 friends who were sitting in the back of the car were killed instantly. So death reared its head again. So all of a sudden, there were 3 people in my life that had died within the space of 5 months in the year of 1994. What was going on? Which is also a 5 year, isn't it? So people said my father saved me, and I thought that was a bit ridiculous. But somewhere deep down, I knew he had indeed spared me from death. And in another place, in another part of me, I knew it wasn't my time to go. I was here for a reason, and I didn't know what the heck that would be. And more recently, I feel, were there forces out there that were trying to wipe me off this earth as well because of the mission of what I'm here to do? There's a part of me that feels that too. And know for all of us how protected we are. And that I do not consent to being wiped off this planet this time round in this life for the mission that we're here to do, to speak the divine truth and to resurrect the divine spark within each one of us. So the number 5. So I was just playing around with numbers because I feel my father, and I think, Cheryl, I think you said the other day, he's like a quantum mathematician. Like my father was brilliant at maths. You know, he was very humble, very intelligent, and also a brilliant linguist as well. But he loved numbers. He died 55 days into the year. The 24th of February is 55 days into the year. And what was the other thing about the number 5? Because it goes, okay, let me see. I wrote this down. And 1994 was a 5-year. So 555. So that struck me because the witch as well, and my connected with my witch awakening, because the witch as well is at 555 Edinburgh Castle Esplanade. So for me, 555 is the witch's number. It's a divine angelic number, isn't it? And so there were other synchronicities as well with the numbers, because I turned 19 on the 12th of December and he turned 59 on the 13th of January. And that's 32 days apart, which adds also to 5, the number 5. And then our ages, 19 plus 55 adds to 78, which doesn't add to 5. But what I found interesting was that he died at 8:34, which adds to 87. 78, 87. So I was just having to play around with the different numbers, but there's something about the number 5 that keeps coming back in. Yeah, and the number 8 as well, that feels connected too. And also today's date is like the 8 and the 8. We're in an 8-year, aren't we? 2024, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, you could play about with the numbers all the time, but it was just something intriguing about the number 5 and the importance of 5, you know, how it plays out, the 5 elements or 5 digits, the pentagram or earth, air, fire, water, ether. There's so many different aspects to the number 5, and also the mirror of 5 is the number 2. If you hold 5 up to the mirror, it's number 2. So, and yes, the full moon is 5 degrees in Virgo. Thank you for that, Jennifer. And 23 minutes. Oh my goodness, double 5. Isn't that fascinating? So what is number 5 speaking to us today? You just happen to be 55, Michelle. Wow. Very interesting. And I'm in my 50th year, but that's months away in December. We'll turn 50. But Rebecca's 55 too. Hands up if you're 55, or what's your connection to number 5? And Elizabeth, you were born 12/12 as well. Whoa. Here's to us Sagittarians. I love that. And Cheryl, 5D theatre. Yes, the 5th dimension and beyond. And then I did come across the 5 holy wounds. So the 5 wounds of Yeshua in the crucifixion, because there has to be some connection. The word resurrection, what happens? Crucifixion. But in this case, in our lives, I feel the connection to the living resurrection. the 5 holy wounds and the witch wounds, and these wounds that were clearing through us. And Emlyn, is that Emlyn? You've been seeing 555 in abundance. Yeah. And Maria, you're 59. Wow. Wow. Amazing. Very fascinating, isn't it? Yeah. So I think that's all I wanted to share about my father. More may come in. And of course, the path of Venus, yes, makes the shape. The eight-year path makes the shape of the 5-petaled flower, doesn't it? The planet of love makes 2 5-pointed stars and a 5-petaled wild rose over 8 years. Yes, thank you for that. So that was the final thing I wanted to share. This is me going with the flow, you know. Like, oh yeah, one more thing was so he passed away in Mount Carmel Hospital and is buried, he's still there in Mount Venus Cemetery up in the Dublin Mountains. So again, it's the symbology of Mount Carmel and that connection to Mount Carmel in Haifa, Jerusalem in the east, and Venus returning to love. And I was told by an astrologer as well that part of the trauma and grief for me is that I did descend from Venus, and being here, you know, is tough for us star seeds, for us light workers. It is, and that's all part of what we're transmuting, isn't it? Yeah. 5's all about transformation. Many lives mean more transformation. Oh, many 5s mean more transformation. Wow, yeah. Yeah, Mount Venus. Amazing. And it is beside, there's a dolmen, an ancient dolmen that was found, excavated right near, kind of near where the graveyard is as well. So there's evidence of ancient archaeological activity near Mount Venus, the mountain of love, overlooking Dublin city. Wow, and Michelle, you've got Venus in the 5th house. That's amazing. Yeah, Venus is speaking loudly. So that was the final part, was that the connections for me in the past life healings that I've had over the last few years is that connection with my dad and the lifetimes that I've spent with him. So I do feel he is, for me, all about the divine masculine, so externally and within as well. And then the Venus, the divine feminine. And that's the calibration, the integration of what we're coming back together with in sacred union within each one of us and externally as well. And that we've had lives together, been wounded, in battle, as Templars, as knights, as priests, and living a distorted life and a divine life as well. So it's like all of these incorporated together in our paths, culminated into this life and the 19 years that we had together. So yeah, I think that was the final thing I wanted to share as well. And I do feel he was a very divine masculine presence in our lives. And actually, more recently, I feel he is an ascended master, a master anyway, a master of his craft. And yeah, I feel more will come through as well. So Nancy, 55 in your life was huge transformation. Wow, yeah, best to you. Yeah, Michelle and Rebecca. Yeah, yeah. Thank you for the information about the rosary. Yeah, yeah. And it's 50, isn't it, 5 decades of the rosary as well. And it's more ancient than Catholicism. Our Lady's Prayer is more ancient. I've read The Way of the Rose, and it's a lot more ancient. I've lost 5 people in the last 2 years. I'm not Catholic, so I made my own crystal rosary matching the Venus cycle. I love that. I love that. That's beautiful. transformation approaching your 55th. Yeah, yeah. Deep gratitude to you all. Wow, that's beautiful. So yeah, oh, thank you for the comments on YouTube as well. Hello to you all. You know, currently your family is going through a difficult time with an elderly relative who recently went to A&E, discussed about options of resorting to intensive care treatment. Sending you so much love. And Claire, you turned 55 this year as well. And you know, your birthday was just a few days ago, 51. Wow. So all of us souls gathering together and this beautiful connection to the number 5, to Venus, to love, to the divine masculine, the divine feminine, transmuting these wounds to reveal the gifts beneath. Shall we go on a journey then for our final, however long we have together? And I just brought along a little picture, just, of the phoenix rising from the ashes and resurrecting and returning to the light. So I'm calling this a grief, an Atlantean meditation journey. So if you want to settle in, and thank you for witnessing and listening to all that had to be shared in a rather flowy, ad hoc manner. But that's the way it wanted to come through. And settle into your space. Maybe you need to shake off anything that's stirred up in you. And another beautiful way to let grief flow through you is through this movement, this voicing, this sounding, and settling into this space. And maybe if you want to play, if you have an instrument or a drum or a rattle, something that will support you on this journey, and connecting in with the Atlantic Ocean and this vast, wild, salty waters that connects so many of us here today and watching later geographically, but also we're all connected to this vast ocean of Mother Earth on this great blue planet that we live on. And this Atlantean salty water, just imagine now that you are connecting with this space and with this vast, vast ocean, and just notice where you are being brought to connect with this ocean, with this water now. And imagining and remembering that you are in this sphere of golden protection, or whatever light feels right for you to protect you on this journey. And it feels like a vortex, like the Cailleach's vortex is opening up in this Atlantean ocean of vast saltiness. And that you're being invited to step inside this vortex, if that feels right for you, because this is your choice to step in or not. And as you descend into this vortex of the Atlantic oceans, we remember our ancestors who have gone before us. For the Atlantic is in the wild west of Ireland, connected to our ancestors and connecting to all who have travelled across these oceans, either through necessity or for adventure, exploring what lies beyond the lands. And notice where this vortex brings you. For you are in the center, the calm in the center of the storm. And notice now how the vortex connects and opens up to a great umbilicus. This is the umbilical cord that connects you to Mother, primordial Mother. And we're being called to travel down this great umbilicus, to notice where there may be any blocks or stuckness, but also any grief that is frozen across the timelines of your ancestry. And if you come to a part that feels stuck or messy or frozen, just notice how that presents itself to you. So I'm seeing like kind of inky blackness, but also these frozen ice cubes that have come up for me, like blocks, great big blocks of ice that are stuck or caught in the vastness of this umbilicus. And we call in the support from the spirit realm. We call in the support from the dragons in the year of the dragon. And I call in the support of my emerald green fire dragon, the great big scales and a huge ginormous tail, to come in and breathe out his fire in great big breaths. Breathing out fire. You can join me in the breathing out of the fire to thaw this frozen ice and to melt away and transmute any of the inky black stuckness that's been caught up in the web of your ancestry, of the grief, of the trauma, of where this became stuck and solidified and crystallized in your cells, in your DNA, across the timelines. And notice what happens when fire connects with these stuck places. Fire is the greatest transmuter. Notice what happens. Does it melt away or transmute into something else? Or do you need a bit more fire to breathe on these places of stuckness? Connecting with the places where you feel stuck within your body as well. Release through your voice, through your breath. And as we travel down the umbilicus, we arrive in this great crystal cave. And just notice how this presents itself to you in this beautiful, magical, acoustic cave. And this is the place where we are invited to go to recharge, to connect with our feet and remember this rumble of the earth, the heartbeat of the Great Mother. And to allow yourself to refill your wellspring and to release the remnants of grief that you feel like you're holding on to sing out the songs of the keen, of where you feel the lostness, the sadness, the sorrow, the broan in Irish, sorrow, or the cree, the heart within you that feels broken, brishta. These are all forms of grief. Sound this out now, sing this out, speak this, dance this, move this. Allow this grief, this loss, this anger, this separation to flow through you now. All the while you're being charged up by Mother Earth and refueled. And as you emerge from the umbilicus into this crystal cave, before you is an azure lake of crystalline waters. These waters are from ancient, ancient earth. They are healing waters. And as you step forth and take a drink with your hands, notice the water traveling down, connecting with your lips, your throat. Drink it up. These are healing well waters. And as you gaze into the lake and see your reflection, this is where the sleeping dragon lies. This is where your primordial power is, that has been waiting for you beneath the grief and the loss and the separation. Lies this great dragon that rises up now out of these crystalline waters to emerge like the phoenix with wings outstretched, huge wingspan. Notice what you feel is right for you to do, to hop aboard the dragon's back, to be the phoenix, shapeshift into the phoenix, or merge with this great transmutative, resurrecting bird as you rise up now out of this crystal cave and travel back along and through the umbilicus that is wide enough for you, because you're magical, to travel through. And that the umbilicus has turned golden and silver. These royal noble metals, elements, to protect you as you travel back across timelines. Free now from the grief, free from any guilt, free from any indecision or anger or pain, free in this moment to fly and resurrect and reignite this divine spark within you. And when you arrive, you fly and burst through this vortex of great water through the Atlantic Ocean to arrive in dry land, or maybe you fly above the earth and go on your adventure. But as you do so, take a moment to connect in with your body. And just notice what's flowing through you now. Where is grief now? And what would grief like to have happen now? After going on this journey? And just place your hands on your body, maybe in your womb space, or feel that connection to the womb where you have been birthed from. And send yourself the purest, most divine love, Venusian love, that is so pure and so heartfelt that it melts any remnants of grief that you may be gripping or holding on to now. Allow pure light of Venusian love to flow through you now. And if tears are flowing, let them flow. If words are arriving, speak them, sing them. If light language is flowing, let it flow. For this is your time to awaken these magical gifts within you. And you will no longer be weighed down or held back by any stuck emotions, for they just wish to flow. As we return to the source of that knowing within us, the source of all, for the highest good, for humanity. For these are such transformational times that we're in. And this is such a powerful day on this new moon, full moon. The great big pregnant belly of our moon, supporting the continued release, so that you continue to be free to fly. And when you're ready to come back down to the earth, to ground yourself in the here and now, just remember that you can return to these spaces, to this journey again. And that this is your birthright now, to follow the trail of these rivers of gold and to walk your golden spiral path and to sing your soul song into the world. And thank you for being here. Thank you for going on this journey. And before we wrap up, if anyone, when you're coming back to the here and now, wishes to share anything, I'll stay on for another few moments and take all the time you need for that to process. That was quite a journey that we went on. And if you have time after this, write down, allow yourself to free write or free speak to express what came up to help that integrate within you. And thank you all for being here, for showing up at this time. Happy full moon. And thanks for being in this space with me, for me, and for honoring my dad as well, Arthur, Art for short, and this continued journey that we're all going on. It's such a joy, such a pleasure. And one of his phrases was everything in moderation. So, everything in moderation. It's all about the balancing and the rebalancing of these parts of ourselves, and also calling any fractured, lost soul fragments back home to heal, to integrate within us. This is the journey. So thank you all. Rebecca saying that was incredible. This totally impacted your digestion. Wow. Yeah. In what way did it impact your digestion? And Ina's saying thank you for sharing this sacred space. Thank you, Eimear. Thank you, Arthur. You're so welcome for bringing Eimear into her life for us to share with us. Oh, that's so beautiful. Yes. Thanks, Dad, for birthing me through, and to my mum, who's still here. Hi, Rama. Pegasus flying free. Oh, yes, Pegasus. Maya, hello. Thank you, my lovely soothsayer witch. Oh, soothsayer. I love that. Thank you. Leslie Ann, thank you for the beautiful journey. The full moon is stunning. Love to everyone. Yeah, I'm going to go out now and howl at the moon. I don't care what the neighbors think. It's just time. Howl at the moon. Enjoy it. Let's recharge ourselves and release, release. Yeah, I can still feel my throat here, so I'm going to let that release to anything. Release, release. Thank you, Melissa. Wonderful experience. My grief had a voice. Oh, beautiful. And spend time communing with that voice of grief for you. That's beautiful. Michelle, wow. Thank you, Eimear. I was called to turn the light off and open the curtain and was greeted by Sirius shining brightly in the beautiful night sky. That is gorgeous. Yeah, I'm going to go out now. It's a very clear night here as well. Sirius is out there in Orion. Oh, Laura, Lady Grief is my assistant. She holds me dearly while my broken heart is rebirthed into a bigger, more expanded heart. Thank you so much for sharing, dear Laura. Claire, thank you, Eimear and everyone. And to Mel for the links. Beautiful. Rebecca, thank you for sharing about your dad and your gifts. You're so, so welcome. Geraldine, I can't wait to see you again, Geraldine, next time I'm in Dublin. Thank you. My grief manifested in me as a young girl. Oh, that's so gorgeous. I pictured myself talking to her and saying, it's okay. You're tired and you're part of me. I'll be kind to you. Oh, that's really moving, Geraldine. And you be kind back. I feel friendlier to grief. That is gorgeous. And keep that conversation going and that beautiful, soft, gentle kindness as well. That's gorgeous. Maria, thank you so much. Beautiful divine being. You're so welcome. Oh my goodness, there's so many messages here. Thank you. A lot of powerful releasing, melting the sacred sharp edges. Yes. Love to you. Thank you, Cynthia, for this beautiful journey. Blessings to your father and Lady Grief. Yeah, I really like that, Lady Grief, the personification. And I forgot to mention as well, if anyone wants to go further, I do have sacred storytelling sessions, and I've got a discount code for today and for the next 7 days if anyone books with me for £55 off. And the code is Arthur55. So that's in the chat there. I almost forgot to share that gift with you. Thank you. Full moon is beautiful. Gurav Mahagut. Thank you, Honora. So gorgeous to hear the Irish spoken. Cynthia, blessings. Happy full moon in Virgo. Nancy, much honor to art. Eimear, to everyone. Yeah, and to all of you, feel the support of this space, that we're really not meant to grieve alone. We are meant to come together. That's what the wailing women, the keeners, did to get the grief moving through us. Thank you. Your journey included what I needed. Melting the ice cold I feel in my lungs was just perfect. Yeah. And I've loved this fire dragon that has come in for me to support this, of melting the grief in this life and across the timelines of our ancestors, across our mother line, our father line. It's big work we're doing here. No pressure. Tanya, much gratitude to you, your dad, for this journey, to let our grief, personal and collective, flow. The dragon dances and merges into the phoenix. Oh, that's really beautiful. Yes, yes, yes. Wow, thank you all for all these gorgeous, gorgeous messages. And thank you. Oh, Rhonda, you lost your dad on 2/22/24. Oh my goodness. Wow. I'm sending you so much love at this, what I imagine is very, very raw 2 days ago. Sending you so much love for this journey with grief and loss, and knowing that this connection is not lost with your father. He's always here, waiting to connect with you. And thank you, DM Dallas. Thank you. Thank you so much to you all for being here or for watching this in the replay. And we will be back. We are back now for this time. Hi, Tracy. Sorry, I'm late to be here. Eimear, do we have a replay, please? Yes. So it's on my YouTube channel. I love that you've raised your hand, and I'll send you a special email, Tracy, in a moment with the link. But go on my YouTube channel and it's there. Thanks for dialing in your our tomorrow, your today from Australia. Laura got to go. Yes, I do the long Irish goodbye very well. Claire, grateful for a safe, beautiful space to let go my grief. Whereas before it was a never-ending rabbit hole. Yeah, kind of wished I had this 30 years ago, to be honest, that I didn't have to numb it and shut it down. And yeah, it took about 20 years to open up to grief for me. Thank you, everyone. Your dinner will be burnt. Yeah, I can hear Ian clattering around in the kitchen. I think it's baked potatoes tonight. How very apt. So, yeah, the longer I stay here, it means I don't need to do any of that cooking. Dinner will be burnt. I was saying the long Irish goodbye. Here's your burnt dinner. Rama got here at the tail end. I'll try to catch up with the beginning, yeah, and I'll send an email after dinner as well with the link, but it is on YouTube. So much love to you all. I love connecting in this way around the globe. This is the beauty of these times. And take care until we meet again. So much love. Happy full moon. Tracy, the sacred spud. Bon appetit. Yeah. Where would we be without them? Oh, there was the blight. Yeah, which caused a fright. But now we eat them with delight. Thank you. I am going now. Over and out. Take care, everyone.